No.
All right, hey guys, we're live on air for another episode of Keeping It Real Masterminds. And today I'm really excited to have Matt Templeton and an ABQ Realtor. That stands for Albuquerque, for any of you that don't know what ABQ stands for. And like I said before, these guys come on here and share, and they don't get paid anything. They just want to share and give back. So please, if you have any referrals for the Albuquerque area, think of Matt. And thanks for coming on here and sharing. Today, it's how 25-year-old Matt Templeton will go from 75 to over 150 deals. And before we get going and introduce Matt, we're going to go over a few housekeeping items and introduce myself. I'm Jeff Manson, for those of you that don't know, a Hawaii real estate broker and also founder of Real Geeks. And my co-host is Frank Klesitz. And he's the CEO of Vyral Marketing, really good guy, and we wouldn't be able to put these on without Frank's help and his crew. So, I want to thank them. And here's a few housekeeping items. If this is the first time you've ever been, I actually just stumbled upon this Keeping It Real hangout, you can go to keepingitreal.com, and on the right side you can opt in with your name and email, and you'll get invited week before, day before, and when we're live, and also a replay of all our events. You can also go to the Real Geeks Google Plus page and follow the Real Geeks Google Plus page because we post them on there, and that's where the events are held. You can also go to the Real Geeks Facebook page and follow and like that page, and also share it if you want. But if you actually like it and follow the page, we post all the replays and also every event we're doing. We promote it on there. And then also you can go to the Real Geeks YouTube channel and subscribe. And I believe, depending on your settings, you can actually get notified when when we post a new YouTube video. You got anything to add there, Frank?
No, I think everything is great.
Okay.
Let's get the show started off.
Yeah, let's get the show rolling. So Matt Templeton, I've known him for about what? How many years, Matt? About 4 years? 3 years?
I started working with you 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so 4 years ago. So back then he was probably 21, 22 years old. He's only 25 years old. He's a broker. Excuse me, broker team leader at Keller Williams, and his goal is to do 178, I think, but he's going to definitely, he did 75 transactions last year, and he's got an ambitious goal of more than doubling it. So, we're going to dive in here and see the whole progression of Matt's business. He got into it just when he was 18 years old, and what I like about Matt, he's really hungry to learn, to grow, and also to share. Obviously, he's on here. So, Matt, can you walk us through the first few years? When you first got into business, real estate business, why you decided to do it, and just kind of paint the picture of your transition, the first few years, and how you progressed to last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been a few years since I've been selling, so I'm at in my 7th year. And I got my degree while I was selling real estate, so I was kind of learning marketing and entrepreneurship while also doing it, which is the best way to learn. And I started at 18 and did okay the first couple of years, but quickly realized that the best way to do well in real estate is to have great leverage. So I started adding random people, and like many people that you'll talk to that made a team, made a lot of mistakes in hiring, or kind of randomly adding at wrong times, or not training well, and just kind of doing a random process for creating a team. And
Sure.
So then more recently moved to Keller Williams and kind of restructured and started to follow a little bit of a better system, and have now seen huge growth in my business year over year the last couple of years, and this year we're going to have another big year. And I attribute that mostly to learning and learning from people that already made the mistakes, instead of just going out there and randomly doing what I think I feel is good. So
Yeah. So Matt, let's back up a little bit because we rolled through there pretty quickly. So what mistakes were you running into in the beginning that now that you look back and say, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you made that you can share with people, maybe not to do?
Yeah. So one thing I would probably say is, oftentimes we will want to hire, or will want to, even your first assistant, or a runner, or a part-time marketing person, will want to hire because we don't like doing what we're doing. And sometimes we have to make sure that we actually have a good amount of growth, or the right revenue in place, before we just randomly hire or randomly add on. I had this problem, and I usually see this problem when people add on team members that are salespeople, but they don't have enough leads for them, but they don't have really systems in place to help them do business. They just don't want to take up buyers, or they don't want to have to work on the weekends. And so the biggest mistake I had was probably adding people for the wrong reasons too quickly. Instead of saying, actually, what I really need is a part-time admin or a transaction manager or something like that. So that'd be one thing I definitely didn't learn well. Another mistake I made was to spend too much money too quickly and to find flashy objects and cool things. And I still have pretty cool things that I get to use in some great programs, but I've definitely scaled it back and started running it like a business, having a P&L, checking my expenses, making sure that I've got profit, and not spending on things I don't need. So.
Right. Yeah. So like, can you expand on some of the shiny objects that you bought too fast, spent too much money? Because I mean, newer agents that are watching this, I think that's one of their biggest problems is they hear that, okay, this great thing, it'll do this and it'll do that, and they don't even explore or they explain some of the things that you got caught up in or some of the hype that you wish you wouldn't have done.
Yeah. So I went through like 4 IDX providers in a short time, so I paid a ton of setup costs and a bunch of monthly fees. That was a silly mistake, and it's partly because I wanted actually, even before I got to really IDX providers, I was trying to build my own site and hire random developers to build sites. So website randomness, that was one thing. Getting hooked on the SEO bandwagon, like, oh, we've got to hire this guy to do this SEO, and I've got to. It was kind of, some of it was unnecessary, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just throwing money at a problem. I think having a nice car is great, but you don't need a nice car right off the bat. You don't.
Right.
I like that one. What car did you buy, Matt?
My first realtor car was a Jaguar.
There you go.
I just am trading in my BMW now to downsize. I've decided I'm going away from the realtor car now because it's just not necessary. You need a nice car. You don't need an expensive car. Keep your expenses and overhead down. That's how you're going to be able to last. You really only need once you take a listing, a sign and a lockbox and some effort. I think also the buying leads was kind of a silly thing I did. I tried so many different lead systems that wanted me to pay them $200 or $300 or $400 a month, or even $30 or $40 a month for 2 or 3 leads. That most of them I wasn't following up with, or they were poor quality. They weren't really leads. They were, maybe a name and a phone number. And so I've learned that you can generate leads by just being consistent and authentic with your sphere, and even just making phone calls. That's where a lot of business comes from. So keeping my cost down per lead too, knowing what it was per source, and making sure that I've got a good return on investment for everything I'm going to spend money on. I do spend very little money on Zillow, and yet Zillow would be a great example of a source that can either be good or bad depending on how you manage it. And so just buying $1,000 of Zillow leads isn't necessarily going to fix your business. It's just going to cost you a lot. So
well, let's talk about that. So the whole idea behind the Hangout today is to go say, you got to 75 at 24, 25 years old, and then you're going to double that this year by implementing new stuff. So I want to stay away from the new stuff you're going to implement. Okay. Why don't you start with sharing with your audience what everyone wants to know is all the lead generation and tips on leads, because that's what we all need. So to get to 75 deals, knowing what you know now, what did you do to get 75 deals as far as a lead generation standpoint? Where did the leads come from for your 75?
Everywhere. The Zillow, review sites, Sphere, very little Sphere, a lot of other miscellaneous websites, Zillow, Trulia, House Values, Market Leader, all those miscellaneous things. Some of those I've killed since then. But the can I say the main thing that I wished I had done for?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the main thing I wished I'd spend the most amount of time on was my Sphere, because now I'm super good, much better at following up with my Sphere and going after them, and all of a sudden it's like amazing. I mean, I had 4 solid leads, literal people ready to go in the car or on a listing appointment, and you don't have to spend nearly as much time incubating. So.
But did you have much Sphere when you were 21, 22, 23?
Well, Sphere can be anybody, and so if you have in fact, I've sold houses for several different hairdressers, several different hair people. I can only go to one hair person, but I've got multiple hair people that send me business, and so it's about just seeing who you know in your community or who you come in contact with, and systematically adding those people to a list, whether it's an Excel list or a fancy software system, and then following up with them consistently.
Yeah, so I would like to, once we get through a little bit of this, is go through the different systems, because I just wrote down that, yeah, you can get a lot of leads from different places, but you really need to have a good follow-up and system in place to convert them and focus on them. Otherwise, everything's just falling over the cracks. Is that what you experienced?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, for a while, I turned off AdWords on my sites because we had so many leads while we were doing.
Oh, someone has a Google Plus Hangout call. Probably going on 5 different things right now for it to shut off, like it happens to me. Yeah. And that sound comes on, like just hits me from all these different directions.
Is that one of us? I just killed my Gmail. What?
No, it's someone else giving me a call. It's all right. But here's not to interrupt, but you were saying earlier that you had like a gazillion different websites. You had all these properties online, all these different lead sources. You needed some way to manage and centralize all of them. Is that what we're going in to do?
Yeah, well, that centralize them and make sure they're systematically followed up with.
Yeah, so how do you do that? When you have all these sources, how did you get them on the one source to follow up?
Yeah, so I mean, there's no perfect system. And for me, I've gone back to Gary Keller teaches his system that he used in the 80s before I was born. That he had a file box, and he had folders, and he basically just put note cards of names of leads into file folders, and then would pull out those for the day. And so there were the 10 or 20 people that needed to call for that day. And so if you've got someone in your sphere or someone that you need to follow up with, throwing their note card out 3 months or 2 months or wherever they need to be. I'm switching back to that system actually for my own follow-up because the online systems have almost gotten too full of stuff to do well. But between 2 different systems I use to manage our inflow of leads and where we connect everything in is Follow Up Boss and Real Geeks. So we use the Real Geeks backend a lot, and with the new integrations, I really like that, specifically Zillow and some of those. So we, and in fact, ironically, my buyer's agent today, he's like, can we just, nothing against Follow Up Boss, I really like it. Can I just do everything in Real Geeks? I really would prefer that. It's kind of like the big boy version of Follow Up Boss. I was like, everyone has a different preference.
They're both good. They're both good. We got a lot of clients that use our back end and flow their stuff into Follow Up Box.
Exactly, yeah.
So they're both good. We like Follow Up Box.
Of course, yeah, I do too. But anyway, so those are the 2 systems that we've used to connect all our leads, and our goal is through various integrations to have all the leads flow in, whether it's leads parsing out of emails into one of the systems, or something like that, to make sure that everybody's kind of in 1 or 2 places. I don't want sheets of paper laying around everywhere with a lead on it.
So what do you do? What do you do to stay in touch with all these leads?
You mean like what are we doing? What types of communication do we
Well,
send?
just whatever. I mean, from a calling standpoint, do you have someone dedicated calling to follow up? Like once they all go into the system, I think we understand that. What's your follow up systems and from a communication standpoint or phone calls?
So yeah, I call back seller leads, and my buyer's agents call back buyer leads. And their goal is to make 12 contacts in the first month or 2, so that they can make sure they build rapport as quickly as possible. Because we found out that 12 contacts is I think it's like 80% of sellers or buyers convert after the 12.
12 contacts on a single person, not in total.
Yeah,
Okay.
on a single person.
Yeah. Some people are probably thinking 12 contacts in the first month. Yay! That's all I gotta do.
Yeah, on a single person.
Yeah. 12, yeah, every single person, our goal is to get to 12 points of contact with them, so that they know who we are, and so that even if they're a year out or however long they are, depending on the lead type, that we're going to have them later.
And Matt, that's 12 contacts within the first 30 days, correct?
Yeah, sometimes it goes a little bit longer. Sometimes you don't get someone that many times.
So I know what everyone was thinking. Oh my God, 12 contacts with the same person. The goal is 30 days. What are you guys saying? Run us through like a seller lead or a center of influence, and also an internet lead. Basically, how those conversations will go, and what you guys are trying to accomplish during those 12 calls or contacts. Can you do that? I think that would. Everyone's probably wondering, what are they saying if you're contacting that much? So maybe you can share that with the audience.
So a lot of the every lead is different. So it kind of depends on how they came in, how warm they are to us already, meaning how close they are to from our sphere of influence or something. So if they're a sphere of influence, it's going to be a lot easier to have a conversation and provide value quickly. The first call for pretty much any lead, we'll say it's on my buyer site. First call is probably going to go something like, hey, this is Matt Templeton with SearchHomesABQ.com. I just saw you sign up on my website, and I want to do a quick customer service follow-up call to make sure you're getting all your questions answered, and they don't need any other help right now. And that's pretty much how the call goes. They have no questions.
And what do you say? What do they say, or what do you guys say? Like, well, I'm just looking, because that's kind of like a reflex no. I mean.
Yeah, well, and that's what I want people to do, and I'd say, great, this is a great site. Every house on the MLS is on our site, so feel free to use this as your #1 resource when searching for homes, and we'll send you updated properties every day or a couple of days as they come available that meet your criteria. If there's anything you want to do to change your search, or if you have more properties or if you want to go see one of these properties in real time, real life, just let us know, and we'd be happy to show it to you.
All right, so that's the first call, and then they schedule a call based on how often. Is there every so many days, or is it based on user behavior? Because right now we're talking an online internet lead, correct?
Yeah, we're talking about kind of buyer lead. Yeah, exactly. So exactly. So we've made the first contact. If we make a really good first phone call, then we can we can count emails and text messages as other follow-up contacts. I really like to have as many phone calls in there as possible, because those are the real meat of the conversation.
Sure.
But if we make a good first contact, we don't really want to call them until the following week or until they've got activity. But we're going to email them a couple times with properties. Obviously everyone's got an auto system with property drips. But usually we're sending one-liner emails based on what they looked at. So we put the property address in the email and say, hey, here's the here's the property and the address and the email subject, and we'll say, I saw you're looking at this property, or maybe we're even more stalkerish, and we say, I found this property. I thought it would be great for you. Would you like to see it, or did you have any questions about it? And then,
are you getting engagement when you're sending those? Because that's basically they're looking at this property, and then you're saying, hey, I thought you might like this, or if they've just favorited it or something like that.
Yeah, so huge engagement if you send the address in the email subject with property that they've recently seen or favorited. I always keep those emails down to as little as possible, no more than a paragraph, and they always, the goal is to always end them with a question, so that we have some sort of response point. We don't want them to just read it and not respond. So we're always asking some sort of question like, would you like to see this? Can we update your search criteria? I just want to make sure that I still have everything correct in what you're searching for. I just want to make sure I still get your time frame correct. I just want to make sure you don't have any properties you want to see. And we flip that to a question. Hey, just want to make sure, do you have any properties that you'd like to see, or something like that.
Got it. Okay. And then so that's the buyer, and then you just keep proceeding on there until you get an appointment or what have you. So what about the center of influence? Center of influence, or what is it, sphere of influence, or whatever you want to call it. Some call it center, some call it sphere, whatever.
Yeah. So the thing about everyone worries about calling spheres too much.
Yeah.
They're afraid they're going to bug them, and part of that is because they're usually saying things that are bugging. Hey, do you know anyone who's looking to buy some real estate? Saying that once in a while is okay, but if you're doing that and you're calling them 4 to 6 to 8 times a year, then you're going to be annoying. So what we try to do is figure out what we're calling for ahead of time. So we maybe have 3 different subject lines for the month. And so maybe recently would have been, hey, your tax value probably just came out, and I want to make sure you check that value and that it lines up with what you think your house is worth or less. If not, let us know and we'll help you protest it. Or in November, hey, we just sent out a card that we're giving away pumpkin pies the day before and 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I just want to make sure you got your card and you knew how to sign up for that if you're interested in one, or something like that. So you can touch base and add value to your clients without even necessarily mentioning real estate.
Okay.
And inviting to client events too, like having client appreciation events.
Absolutely.
Letting people know is a good reason to call as well. Call the sphere.
Absolutely. So exactly. So we're doing our client event in October. So we're going to call in all of September, make sure everyone's invited and let them know. And then ours is connected with a charity, so we'll make sure and let them know, hey, we're having a charitable event. We'd love to invite you, and we just would love to see you do this community center.
Is there anything else you can share about how you did 75 deals at 25 that someone else who's young that wants to be able to do 75 deals at your age you did, knowing what you know now, before we get into all the other stuff like the lead generation, the systems you'd be implementing to get to 150? What else can you share about the 75 level?
Yeah, so one thing, we always talk about systems, and I think that really is the #1 thing, is having great systems for how you do something. In fact, we use a program called Asana to manage tasks, and and we use it even for some of our day-to-day operations. Like, okay, here's our 10-step plan for a new listing. Here's our everything when the buyer goes pending, and then team members can be assigned in that. But the reason I want to mention Asana is that all the team members have access, and we have a specific project that's called our SOP project list. So it's anything that could be a standard operating procedure. Anytime someone has an idea for something that should be written down and explained on how it's done, they add that to the SOP list. And the goal is that everything would be systematized and everything has a process to it. And so even down to how do I log into my Gmail might eventually be a process in our book, but something bigger like what are the conversations I have on the first phone call with a buyer lead, or how do I answer the phone? And so my goal has been to come up with as many systems, or at least short explanations for how we do things, so that
That's smart, man.
We're not running around in chaos every single time something, or something that's we should know how to do is happening.
Now, is this something you did or something you're doing?
Did and do. So it's ongoing. How often do you come across something where you say, oh, that's something new, or we've never had to explain that to a client before, or now that's a new issue. So it's ongoing. Our book's always growing. But yeah.
And when did you start? When did you implement that? Was that last year or just this year?
That was last year. Yeah, that was last year. And that was something that I learned from teams bigger than me, is that everyone that was doing an even higher level, 400 or 500 or 600 deals a year, they had really specific processes, and everyone on the team followed very specific ways to get it done.
And last year, when you did 75 transactions, how many people were on your team?
So I had 2 buyer's agents and an admin. So it was 4 of us.
4 of you. Okay. All right. And what were your most effective lead sources last year? And for buyers and sellers, if you can go through both those.
Yeah. So the thing that we've grown the most, and even last year was still our biggest source, was Sphere. So it's having those phone calls with people regularly, sending them. We send postcards out constantly, or other items of value and that sort of thing. Sphere was our top one. The number 2 though, which is kind of surprising. Well, not surprising anymore, but it was surprising a few years ago. Was review sites. So we get a lot of business off of different places that people can write reviews, and even Zillow reviews, etc. So we really push reviews. And then number 3 was random leads signing up on my buyer site. And so it could have been someone that saw us on the sign, or it could have been someone that found us on Facebook or other places, but it was directing into our buyer lead site. Some of those we know came from Facebook, some we know came from signs, some we know came from AdWords. But in general, our buyer site was a big part.
What's the name of your buyer site? So you're plastering that URL everywhere. What's the URL you chose?
Yeah, searchhomesabq.com. Searchhomesabq.com.
I always like hearing the different variations of home search sites.
I know,
creative for the .coms.
Yeah, I had a few. There's a few others I've had in the past that for one reason or another don't have anymore. But yeah, Search Homes ABQ is the one that I've been using for the last 4 or 5 years.
Great. And then so with your center of influence, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you got some reverb.
I don't know what's going on, but so with your center of influence, are you mainly getting buyer referrals or seller referrals, or both? Combination?
Both, but actually probably about 75% seller referrals, which is awesome. That's that's where the bread and butter is. So that's what we want. We try to encourage that in our calls. Like when we're calling sellers, when we are talking about real estate, often people say, I wanted to tell you a story. I just had a seller that closed, and they had one realtor before me, and a bunch of issues came up, and they weren't able to get it sold. And what I figured out was that it was probably based on marketing. And so I just wanted to let you know, we're seeing a lot of people that are trying to sell their houses and aren't able to. And then when we get them, if we do the right marketing, we can get it sold in a reasonable amount of time for still a great price. And so I just wanted to make sure, if you hear of someone who's thinking about selling, will you let them know that I specialize in marketing, and I really like to help them sell their house as well.
So you're saying that to your center of influence. Great.
Hey, Matt, turn down your sound a little bit. You were in reverb in your microphone. Just turn down your volume a little bit, because I hear Jeff Manson coming back to your microphone.
Yeah, I sound like Darth Vader.
That's all right. All right, so let's move from the conversation from what you did to 75, which seemed like you just tried everything, Matt.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Throw it against the wall, hope it sticks.
And out of sheer perseverance and working hard, you did 75, and now you're at this point to systematize and to focus, and you've learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to go from 75 to 150. Can you take us through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I want to know team. I want to know lead sources. Everything you're doing.
Yeah.
But systematically go through that.
Yeah. Slowly, so everyone can listen. What's the first thing you have to do? You did 75. Now you're like, okay, now what?
Well, those additional leads have to come from somewhere. So if we were doing a certain level of business, where are the new leads coming from? So the first thing that I looked at was what are those lead sources? Is it me just investing more money in a specific product or a specific section? I'll start with Sphere. One thing that we did with Sphere was we recognized where our holes were. We weren't adding past listing buyers meaning people that bought our listings to our Sphere or our database. We weren't adding every single person we met, and so we're getting a lot better at tracking and adding those people in. One person I added an admin, and that admin's job is one of their jobs is to make sure to add people to the database. So the team is incentivized to add people, whether it's someone that they've just met or talked to, whether it's someone that they've known for forever. We have contests every week, and so if you add the most people to the database, then you win.
Well, Matt, let me ask you: are you getting the Facebook friend emails and the LinkedIn emails and the contacts of your employees into your database?
Oh, absolutely. So we export the Facebook lists into Yahoo and then pull those emails out and use those in our database as well. So my big goal was, if Sphere is the big part of my business, then I've got to get a lot more business from Sphere. I've got to double the Sphere business first. We can double each one subsequently.
And you're marketing to the Sphere of all the people on your team, and that's a huge asset that you're tapping, which is great. Smart. Very few people do that.
Okay, sure, yeah, there you have it. So get the Sphere of the people, get the Sphere of my Sphere, and then add to it regularly. So we have contests to add people. Then from that Sphere, systematically communicate with them. So we're sending postcards with, like I said, value. We're calling them, etc. And I'm really trying to get to that model of communicating between thinking of you cards, emails, postcards, and phone calls, 33 plus, more than 33 times per year. So that was the first thing for the Sphere. Get more people, communicate with them better, and that was a hole I saw in that part of the business. And already we're already running double than what we did last year in the Sphere business. So that was a big aha. The second thing was that if review sites were really effective for me, then I need to go get more reviews. So I went and we've made a campaign. We made a competition for our clients. In fact, I have a proof for a postcard somewhere, but we did, hey, give us a review, positive or negative. I don't care if it's positive or negative. Just give us reviews on these sites, and you're entered to win an iPad. So we're doing a contest for that. But I want more reviews because that's where I know that the business is growing in that sector. And then, what did I say, buyer site. We actually didn't change much on our buyer site as far as funneling leads to the site. I turned down my AdWords leads or my AdWords payments, and I realized that I was still getting leads. So they're coming in from other sources. We plaster our website everywhere. But what I told the team was, if that's our third best way of converting business, and we've got 3,000 plus people in this database, and more than 500 of them have been on the last month, there's so much business here that we're just neglecting. I'm not adding any more leads unless they come in naturally. So you need to go and convert more of those people. So we've made a bigger effort, especially with the buyer's agents, of hitting those 12 contacts, as quickly as possible. So
Matt, let me ask you. On the website, are you I'm getting that feedback in. Let me just tone my voice down a little bit. Are you on the site? Are you driving traffic specifically to the home value listings?
Yeah. So we have a home value tool on our buyer site, and we do get people that sign up through that. And in fact, we get leads for people in California and Texas and Illinois and all over, because it just says find out your home's value in class or whatever. So we are getting people on the buyer site from that. And then for seller leads, we drive traffic from other sources to that same home value tool.
So what can you explain a little bit more on that? Because a lot of people either have one in the Real Geeks site, or they have a standalone, or they got one in their Boomtown site or Commissions Inc. site, or what have you. How are you driving traffic? Beside are you doing Facebook advertising to that? Are you doing postcards? And then what about and most of them will capture the address. What are you doing with the address? with
Yeah,
when you
so
just have the address. Can you go through all that? Because everybody's got a different take on what they're doing. We want to hear what you're doing.
So seller leads are probably so if we're talking also about I wanted to increase those existing lines of business, but I also wanted to add new lines because not only do I want to grow this year, I want to start building a platform for the following year. So farming and seller valuation leads were a big part of my business plan to grow this year and get to the 176, and then next year get even more. And so in the farming and in the seller valuation leads, the way that we're pushing traffic there is direct mail to a specific farm area with the tool on there. In fact, I think I have it. This is one of our more recent ones.
Yeah, put that up close.
It says find out what your home is worth in 60 seconds or less, and it has my ABQ home, which is our seller site on there. And then we advertise that we're giving away a selling guide too. So we put out one of these, and then it's actually got all of our team members on there. And then it also pushes them back there again, get the estimated value of your home at myabqhome.com. So that was one of them, was in our farm. And then so that's how we're driving traffic there to area that we already know we want. It's got high turnover rates, 10%. It's got great values and a sporadic amount of values. The houses generally tend to be newer, and they tend to sell faster than anything else in our area. So that's how we picked our farm. Then the other way that we're pushing valuation leads there is through Facebook ads. So we do Facebook ads to our sphere. So we have a specific sphere-based ad that's just targeting the people that know me and know my team on Facebook. And then we have ads to the zip codes that we want to work in. And then we're very targeted on those zip codes or on those lists. So it's the zip code, it's an age. I think we do something with confirmed homeowner or one of those types of things where we're looking for people that potentially own, and then they are in a price range or their estimated value of their home is above, a certain price range. So we're trying to target, and we have a small amount of people we're targeting right now for Facebook ads, and still I think it's 5 to 15 a day between full contact and just potential leads with an address.
So you're in 5 to 15 either addresses or full contacts a day. And then what are you doing with just the address? When you don't get the full contact, that's one thing, and you probably have a system for that. What is your system for when you just get the address?
So I have friends that I was hanging out in Huntington Beach these last couple of days for masterminds, and I was talking with some other guys, and I have to step up my game now because they're going to every single address that signs up on their site and hand delivering their seller guide and knocking the door and just talking with them. And I was blown away. So I think I need to step up my game and start planning in a little bit of time where I go to the address. But we're mailing to them. The first thing we send out is our seller's guide. So we developed this. I figured out most of the content and then had a marketing company and my graphic designer kind of work together to put it together. And it's I don't want to call it propaganda, but it's education material. So in favor of what I'm going to tell them anyway about how to price right, how to present right, how our marketing works, etc. So we're using these as kind of an item of value that we send out to all of those seller leads. And then we do another follow-up campaign of postcards that's in addition to what maybe they were already getting if they were in the farm. And those things are other pieces of items of value like tips for staging your home or use our free notary services or whatever else. So
let me ask you one more question. So you're sending all that information. Are you researching their phone number and then trying to call them?
I've played around with that idea, but I haven't done it yet.
Oh my gosh, you should be doing that. That's huge. I mean, it's the same as going and knocking on their door.
I'm always learning. Take down.
Hey, Matt, go to TaskRabbit.com, and you can find people who make those deliveries for you super cheap off TaskRabbit.
Thanks. That's awesome. Yeah, good on That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So you're doing that, and then okay, and then obviously the full contact ones, you are calling them, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so here's my big aha. Even on people that say that they're not really interested right now, that their answer to anything about selling is, or what's your reason for doing this?
Sure.
Nothing, really, just curious. We still call all of those. And sometimes they say, no, I really was just curious. And other times you find out through asking questions that they're actually looking to sell in the next 6 months. So just curious means I'm prepping and I need to meet with someone in a month or two. But actually, there's a lot of warm leads and then nothing, really just curious.
Oh yeah. The just curious is the reflex no, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The same is like, I'm just looking, right? Oh, great. What are you looking for, right?
Yeah. What are you curious about? Oh, you're thinking about selling. Okay, great. Yeah, I understand that.
All right.
Hey, you said you talked about a lot of your print stuff. Do you have any more of that stuff you can show us, like the guide, and hold up again?
Yeah,
Some more of it.
so this is our 16-page selling guide. So it's all my branding, which is all obviously all reversed now, but
Let me see it. Let me see the 16 pages. You go through real slow. Let's just take a
yeah,
look.
yeah, sure. So the first page is on hiring a broker and also on just what our guide is about. It's got quotes from me throughout, and it's got some other stats for the market.
Mm-hmm.
Second page has the process as well as how to choose the best realtor, questions to ask your realtor. This page has our marketing plan and a little bit about how we market. Also, this page talks about presentation and making sure you stage both the exterior and the interior. This is a page on more marketing stuff, so some different points that we do for marketing and more presentation. We just kind of throw in some different nuggets in there. Pricing. This is my favorite page. In fact, I pull this out at listing presentations and reference it, and I say, we've written a whole guide on how to price effectively, and so I want to, give you this reading material if you're concerned about pricing. And then, oh yeah, the closing process and how we negotiate a closing, as well as who we are and some team members. So we've added a lot in the last 4 months because we've got big goals for next year, this year, and next year.
Is that could probably be a good listing presentation aid for when you have listing agents working for you at some point, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, our listing presentation parallels this, and then our pre-listing guide, which is right now a PDF that goes out to all those people that we're going on appointments for. They get a lot of the same material, but at a different stage. It's a little bit more like, here's what you're going to do, and less about like, here's what we found through research. But yeah, this is essentially my listing presentation, my pre-listing package, and everything I'm going to tell them in a listing presentation.
Can you share with us some like the direct mail that you're doing, like the postcards and kind of the costs involved and how much of these you print to give us people an idea of that?
Yeah, that's terrible because I talk about my P&L and stuff like that, but I can't think of exact costs. I will tell you mailing costs, actually. I know that. Printing costs, I would have to ask my marketing person. The way that I send most of my mail is through EDDM, and I'm sure most of you have heard about this lately. It's every door direct mail. So since I'm farming in an area, we send a lot of our mail that's going to specific geographic locations through every door direct. It's like 17 cents a piece. So once we get them printed, it's easy. We do a lot of our marketing pieces are this size or bigger. So whenever I'm sending a piece, I even if it's a flyer for a home, I want it to be the biggest piece of mail, at least longer than an envelope or bigger than anything else, so that it stands out. So you will do this a lot. EDDM has to be odd sizes. You can't do normal postcard sizes. So we send a lot of 8.5 by 11s out to postal customers. This one we actually use as a flyer and a mailer. So we have the EDDM logo on it, and then we also hand it out as a flyer that way too. We do actually do a folder that we give to all our clients. We give these out like candy because our vendors help us pay for them, so they're a lot more reasonable. So we can do a nice, cool folder with vendor advertising on it. So the other stuff we do, like if you can find something that's locally specific that you can give away, we give away tram passes in our area. Tram tickets are a big thing here. The world's longest tram, and so we just send this out and hand this out to anyone that we talk to. Like, hey, if you need tram tickets, call us. And we have season passes. The dates book up a lot, but let us know. So we'll mail this out. This kind of piece, though, we'll mail out to people that are in our sphere, get added to our sphere right away. We don't EDDM it. That would be crazy. So we buy a postal permit, and I send it out that way. Because of the size of this one, it's like 24.5 cents, I think, per piece to mail. Does that help?
That's very helpful.
Yeah. So those are all the systems that you're prospecting and trying to bring in business. What other systems did you put in place to help get you to that number, as far as admins, what you're doing, what other team members are doing? I mean, how's that look?
Yeah, you mean from a lead gen perspective, or from a transaction perspective?
Everything.
Let's start with lead gen. Keep going more of the lead gen things that you're doing to get to 150, because you got to have more leads, right?
Oh yeah.
What else?
So phone calling is one of the most important things that that we could do, and following up with those leads that we generated. So a couple of things we've done this year. We started launching properties by open house. So we always do an open house every time we get a new listing. And I know some people think that's crazy, but all the buyers that have been looking in that area generally will come. If it's been on the market for a while, maybe they've seen the pictures or another broker's taken them to it. But if we can do an open house that first weekend, then we'll get people through it. Go ahead.
No, he's just coughing.
I'm coughing, sorry.
When we do that, what we found is that we get more people than if we do an open house later. And a lot of people in California and other hot markets are doing this already, and they're getting several offers. So when we get several offers, then what we're doing is taking those extra offers and going door knocking to the neighborhood and saying, we already sold this house, but we've got 2 other buyers that want to buy in your neighborhood. And I didn't know if you might be thinking about selling, or if maybe you know a neighbor that's thinking about selling, because we've got these buyers that are just desperate to be here. And so that's one thing we found for generating new listings and also for new buyers to those open houses. Door knocking in general works, but I found if you can have something like the actual offers in your hand being very persuasive, it's a lot more persuasive than just door knocking and saying, hey, I work in your area. No, I really work in your area. I sold that house in 2 days, and I've got several more people that want to buy. So.
And is that working for you pretty good?
Yeah. You know, it's just that's a new tactic, so I don't have like numbers or specific results, but we've got some pretty wowed people and a lot of people to follow up with. So we didn't sell any houses right off the bat, but it definitely gave us some new contacts that were much warmer that we could put into our database.
You should door knock on a Segway, Matt, and speed up your contact rate.
I know, right? That's why. Yeah, exactly. So it's like the dialer of contact.
It's the dialer of door knocking.
I love that. That's a great idea. Maybe we'll do that.
Okay.
What else are we doing? You know, seller leads was kind of our number one thing. The other thing that we're doing is being more intentional with our Facebook stuff, because a lot of our sphere contacted us or gave us a referral through Facebook. Last year, right now we're getting about 1 referral a week through Facebook, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when they're really warm leads, it's a lot of good business. So we're not being the annoying here's my new listing, or I'm in real estate, or who do you know that's buying or selling on Facebook. We're just randomly kind of having conversations about what we're doing, and then people keep us top of mind for real estate. And then we're systematically dripping either real estate funnies or something that's funny about real estate, or something we're doing in real estate so that they continue to think of us. And then we get private Facebook messages all the time from the sphere saying, hey, my brother's looking to buy, or my brother's looking to sell, would you mind talking to them? So we're doing more Facebook stuff. In fact, right now we've got kind of our schedule that we're for this month getting ready. We've got about 14 posts going out. Some of them just area information, some of them funny real estate or interesting real estate stuff. And so sometimes it's like it's a Zoolander picture that says that real estate market in Albuquerque is so hot right now, and we got a ton of no leads off that one, but a ton of engagement and a ton of conversation. So we're doing a lot more with Facebook as well.
So are you doing the Facebook off your business page or off your personal page as everyone on the team?
Yeah, so we're switching to business page. For a while, I hated the business page because I couldn't get any engagement. But that was because all I was doing was putting up photos of listings or saying, hey, we got a new house, or let us know when you're looking to buy. And then so now that we've started to switch to other interesting engagement, we're getting a lot more. And so we're asking questions, we're talking about the area, we're putting something funny on there, and then people are engaging, and it's growing the number of engagement. On my personal page, I get tons of engagement, whether it's, yesterday it was, even Jeff commented on my post in Huntington Beach. And that had nothing to do with real estate, but it does help in general for me to have good FaceTime in front of my sphere and with Facebook EdgeRank. But we're trying to transition from just being about our personal pages to being more about our funny real estate page. So
and getting more engagement on the Facebook, I'm going to just beat home this Facebook a little bit. Are you boosting those posts, or are you just, or how are you getting people to follow them? Or are you boosting them and targeting your center of influence list? Explain that a little more so people have a better understanding of exactly what you're doing to get more engagement in your Facebook.
Great. Yeah, I found boosting to be kind of a waste of money because basically it's like the easy way to advertise on Facebook, and they don't give you as good a value. So generally the number of impressions you're going to get and the number of clicks you're going to get is not as good as you took that same amount of money to boost it and put it into a Facebook ad campaign. So we are building ad campaigns around some of our better posts, or ones that we think are really interesting. I absolutely think that advertising with a targeted audience, whether it's the area you're farming or the people that you already know on Facebook, or the people that already like your Facebook, those are who I want to target. I don't send out advertising or boost posts to just random people. I want it to be either my friends or my team's friends, or friends of their friends that already maybe have heard of us. So we're very cautious how big that scope of people is, and I'd rather spend a little bit more and be right on the people that we already know, know, like, and trust us more. than just randomly putting it out there. So I don't boost. I put it in Facebook Ads Manager, and then I'm specifically targeting audiences that are either
your sphere of influence, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We're playing around with retargeting. I haven't gotten as good at that yet. But my next step is to start using those same posts and retargeting to people that have been on my search homes ABQ site.
Right. Got it. Yeah, that would be good. And retarget them to the home value. What's wrong with my sound, Frank? I sound like Darth Vader.
I think you're just getting a little reverb from Matt's.
Okay.
It's on the headset. It's coming back. It's okay.
It's no big deal.
Sorry, Darth Vader.
That's
Jeff,
all right.
Have you guys had any clients playing around with that retargeting stuff?
Yeah, some of them, and they're having some success on targeting the people who've been on their website and then retargeting them with, hey, are you looking to sell,
right,
type stuff as well, trying to get them back to the home valuations. I'd play around with those things, and we're going to play around and do more testing as well, because I think there's a big opportunity in Facebook and PPC. I think the AdWords as well, but definitely for your center of influence too.
Yep, agreed. Cool.
Good.
Hey,
well, let's go ahead.
On that seller's guide, if anybody's get something like that, I know it seems flashy. It wasn't terrible, especially for the return on investment. We're getting a lot more people that are calling us back, and they're holding on to pieces like this, and then calling us even a couple months later. The company that did this was Pegasus Marketing, and we kind of worked with them on it. But can I throw out an email address and they can?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, share it, because they're gonna hit us up anyway. So you might as well tell them.
Okay, great. Yeah, email Johanna. Her email is johhanna@pegpress.com. Pegpress.com. That's Pegasus Marketing.
Cool.
Hey Frank, we're kind of running out of time here. It's 1:47. Well, 1:47 my time here in Hawaii. A lot later for you guys. Yeah, can we hit some questions?
Absolutely. I think some of these I wasn't paying attention to the first, but I didn't have the Q&A app open, so I apologize. I think a lot of these we answered, but probably have viewers at the very end. We'll just run through them. Gary asked, "What CRM system do you use?"
Well, that's a great question. So I actually have several, and that's how everyone is. Developers haven't put the money into real estate because there's so much competition out there. I don't think we're ever going to have an all-in-one system. For task management with the admin, for the transaction, and how we make sure to communicate with the client, we use Brivity. And I found Brivity to be the best one for client-side engagement. For sending out emails to buyer leads, seller leads, and kind of managing some of those marketing processes, we use Infusionsoft. And I think that there's probably a connection through Greg Harrelson to get Infusionsoft. I got some of his.
And the Infusionsoft he's using for the email marketing automation, not really as a CRM, correct?
And we manage then we use that to keep our database listing, to try and keep some influence of information on those people in our database. For leads, we're using the backend of Real Geeks, and my hope is that we can do more integration and have more of it, just all our buyer leads in there and seller leads in there. And then we're also still using Follow Up Boss, which is still great. Follow Up Boss is awesome. And Follow Up Boss actually created a ton of engagement on my Real Geeks leads because of their follow-up process. So Follow Up Boss for our team as well, followupboss.com.
What about Asana? What's the Asana thing you talked about?
So Asana is actually all task management, and I use it for my. Can I screen share?
Sure.
Is that possible?
Yeah, you can show it to us. You just roll your mouse over my face, and you click the little green button with the white arrow on the little palette that comes up on the left there. And you just want to choose the window, not necessarily the whole screen.
Yeah. So
the window.
I apologize. This is the one, but so this is our Asana, and we have different projects. This is our current list of SOPs that we haven't written yet or haven't described yet. I keep a list of tasks for myself, so these are kind of upcoming tasks with due dates, some of them behind. But then we've got all different team members, including people outside of our organization that regularly interact with us. We'll put them in here so that they can interact with our different to-dos, and we can assign it to them.
This is more internal processes and checklists.
Exactly. One thing that's really valuable, internal processes. We don't use So we keep clients' information in here so that it's easy reference in a task. But it's not for keeping people. It's just for managing transactions and tasks. There was one more I was going to show you though. So brand new buyer pending files. come in here. We have a template, and the buyer's agent has to come in and tell us all the information, the buyer's name, the property address, the sales price, and then they come in, they quickly assign different tasks to themselves and our admins, and make sure that all these things are happening. So these are things that don't get told to the client that maybe we're not using Brivity for, and we like to have it in Asana, and we like to manage a lot of our tasks.
Yeah, that's your master. So every time that you have to do that, you just copy that over and you work from that.
Copy, and there we go. Yeah. So
cool.
I'll put this screen share.
Who did you? What's your Facebook page?
How do we get there?
Well, no, just where can someone find your Facebook page? What do they type into Facebook?
Templeton Prime Properties.
Cool.
Or I think it's facebook.com/Templeton Team, and that's Templeton Team.
What company does your EDDM?
We do it in house. We have a local printer print it, and then we run the EDDM ourselves. It's super easy if you go on the USPS website and search for the EDDM tool. It's really not that hard, and you drop it off at that local post office. So we found that the cost to have someone do EDDM wasn't worth just having one of our admins do it internally.
Cool. How much do you pay for Zillow leads every month?
$300 a month.
$300 a month, and how many leads do you get out those impressions?
I'm actually not that. I don't really focus on Zillow for the buyer leads. I want buyer leads on my own listings, but the buyer leads are not that great on Zillow. The opportunity is the leads specifically on my own listing, and also featuring my own listings. So I see it as an opportunity to pay them to get my listings up higher, and we sell faster because of that. It's not. I think last year my return on investment for Zillow was 7 times what I spent, but it wasn't killer. So.
Okay. Greg Riley in Albuquerque asks, are you using any nurturing CRM software? I think we answered this, but nurturing CRM software like Constant Contact, Happy Grasshopper, anything like that?
He's using Infusion.
Happy Grasshopper. We like to use we pay for Happy Grasshopper, and then we use those emails inside of Infusionsoft since we've got our list there.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Who did you hire for?
We also like MailChimp if we want to design a nice email newsletter. I generally don't send email newsletters with HTML in it. Only occasionally if there's something we need to insert. MailChimp makes it really easy to design HTML emails, and so then we'll copy and paste the HTML into something else. But generally, most of my emails that are going out are out of Infusionsoft, and I prefer to have them as basic as possible. The only HTML I want is maybe link tracking, but basically I want it to look like it came from my personal email.
I agree.
What is the commission split for your buyer's agents and for the leads generated from your websites?
Yeah. Hi. As we're looking at the profitability and the cost to take a buyer, cost to take a listing, etc., we're tweaking splits, and we're constantly trying to find a way to. I don't want high turnover. I want to be great at hiring and recruiting the best people and then keeping them for as long as I can. And I have great people working for me now, so I want to reward them well. But we do a scale. I want to incentivize everyone to sell as many as they can in 1 month. So the first one you sell in a month is 50-50. Second one you sell in a month is 55-45, 45 to me. Third plus you sell is 60-40. And we do that on Sphere or my own leads, whichever it is. So I encourage you to get your Sphere in the database, and that we're going to market to them, and you're going to call them, but they're going to be the same value as if we generate the leads for you.
Okay. I think you answered this question. So the question is, who do you hire for the marketing? So you shared the print company, but who did you hire for the marketing?
Yeah, so it was through them as well. Pegasus Printing and Marketing. Yeah. And email the graphic designer on their side, Johanna at pegpress.com. That's the best way to contact them is via email.
Sounds pretty good. Will you share that print material with people? Like the actual documents? Getting more calls. Here's popular. Like everyone's calling now.
Well, so
give me that print material.
If Google Voice is ringing, that means that we've got. Yeah, give me the print material exactly. If Google, it is ringing multiple times. If Google Voice is ringing, that means there's new leads because that's a lead phone. So, and that's the one on our Search Homes ABQ site. So maybe that's why people are calling.
Well, here's the deal. I won't put you on the spot. If there's anything you do want to share, let us know, and we'll put it up on the Google Plus page.
Yeah.
I'll link to it.
Okay.
Just email it to us after the event.
I appreciate
that.
Then,
how did you find the process? How did you find the process of setting up Infusionsoft? Who set the campaigns up for you?
So here with anything, you can't do everything overnight. And so even a seller's guide took me a year of thinking about and wanting this and finally getting to implementation. So same thing with Infusionsoft. It's not perfect, I went ahead and signed up so that I could get some of Greg Harrelson's stuff because I love it and it's really great with buyers and sellers. But I also will add campaigns every once in a while. So we'll make a plan to say, here's a campaign we're going to implement this month. We're going to build that out, and that'll be it. So the setup's not even done. It's constantly ongoing. There's always something to add. But we wanted to at least get the base level where buyers and sellers coming from websites were automatically flowing into Infusionsoft, and they were getting followed up with. And as we have other, I mean, even the way that we plan out our contacts to our sphere, we're implementing that in Infusionsoft now. But it's not perfect. Nothing's ever finished. It's always a what's next, and how can we constantly improve it. And so I try not to get, I like things to be done, but I try not to get overwhelmed by the fact that you can't do everything.
That's great. How many of the 75 deals were buyer versus seller last year? Dustin asks.
Yeah, 58% buyer. 42% seller. I want it to be closer to 50-50 this year, if not higher on the seller side. But buyers were easier last year, and we had a good buyer side. So.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions. We ran through all of them. If anyone has any more, let us know. But there's a little bit of delay, so we gotta let everyone wait for about 30 seconds before a question pops up. Any other questions that you have, Jeff?
No, I'm pretty tapped out. I love all the information he's been sharing, and I really appreciate Matt coming on and sharing. He's a great guy, and he's inspiring. He's young and full of energy, and even keel, not too crazy like me and wound up. I love having him.
No, he's definitely very smart and tech savvy. I think anyone's gonna watch this, Matt, and they're gonna go, "Wow, that's a lot." I mean, the reaction is, "Look at all that you're doing."
Yeah, and he's only 25. Wait till he's 35.
Can we? Oh gosh. Can we take a couple minutes and I'll give a few more things to connect or use?
Yeah, definitely.
So the way that we kind of started to connect these different systems, whether it's Asana or Infusionsoft or other things that we wanted them to talk together, we used, I don't know how you say it exactly, but Zapier is what I say, zapier.com. And it's kind of like they're coders that connect a lot of different software programs. And Zapier is awesome, connecting BombBomb, connecting Typeform, which we use for our forms, Typeform being another one, typeform.com. But we love Zapier, and I think that it's an easy way for someone who doesn't have a lot of coding experience to quickly be able to take maybe an email that's recurring into your inbox and automatically send it to another CRM system. So I highly recommend looking into that one. We talked about Asana. I also like SliDial or SliBroadcast. Do you want to send voicemails or?
How are you doing that? How are you using SliBroadcast?
We've got a couple different ideas of what we're doing. I think it's great for telling people about open houses, specifically real estate agents. So we like to tell real estate agents like, hey, we've got this great open house this weekend. We expect it to sell the day of, and just wanted to make sure you knew about it in case you had a client for it. So something like that. We haven't tried it at all on the client side yet, but I'm tempted to. It's something I'm still playing with. That's a newer piece that I've kind of just started playing with.
And you also mentioned BombBomb, about connecting with BombBomb. How are you using BombBomb? Because I know a lot of people are using BombBomb and loving it.
BombBomb's another great source, or another great resource, another great system that can be overwhelming if you try to do everything at once. And so I make the goal of adding videos that are going to go out to a group of people or a specific target, or maybe they're going to be automatic, so they're going to be whenever we get a new buyer lead or a new Zillow lead. Figure out, okay, what's the implementation? What are the 4 emails I want to go out of BombBomb automatically in the next 6 months, and then just schedule those into implementation. One of my favorite, this is a side note, but one of my favorite books is Compound Effect, and it's Darren Hardy, and he just talks about the little tiny step you can do today that's going to make a huge difference in 3 to 5 years or 10 years. And so we're always trying to say, well, what's one little piece of implementation, even if I can't have it perfect? So BombBomb doesn't do a ton of stuff for us right now. It does. I have all these great ideas. I want to make it awesome, and it's just so much to implement. So I just try to at least once or twice a month come up with either a video email that we're going to broadcast out to the sphere, or a video email that's going to be a response piece to something a client did on one of our websites, whether it's a sign up or something like that, and then try and do auto responses that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're running out of time here, at least for the hour. And I really want to thank you again, Matt. And if anybody watching this has any referrals, anyone buying or selling, especially sellers, he's really after increasing that seller percentage. I'd like to give him a shout out, and contact Matt and send him some buyer and seller referrals. Thanks a lot, Matt. We really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Right?